Thank you so much. It is exciting to be back in Omaha again. And as I've traveled across the nation, it's been almost 6 years since my son gave his life. I've dedicated my life to the troops, to their families, and especially to the families of the fallen. You see, I do understand that freedom is not free. One of the things that I'm privileged to do with the Tea Party Express is to make sure that we let you know as vets how much we appreciate your sacrifice and your service to this country. So if you're one of those who's served in the military, would you please stand up and stay standing so we can give you a huge round of applause for your service and your sacrifice. Thank you. Thank you. Folks, look at this. About half of the crowd are men and women who have fought. Many of them have bled, and some, like my son, have died for the freedoms that we have in America. And gentlemen and ladies, every morning I wake up and I thank you for the freedoms that I have, because I do understand you have paid for those freedoms. August 2nd, 2006 is a day that will forever change my life. I was notified that my son, Mark Allen Lee, had been killed in action. And you can imagine as a parent, that's the toughest news that you could ever hear. I learned shortly after that the story of his heroic actions that day. It was 115, 120 degrees in Ramadi, Iraq. Many of you may remember back in 2006 what a terrible place Ramadi was. Mark's teammates said it was the hellhole of Iraq, or the worst piece of real estate over there. I've been to Ramadi. I've seen the area. I can agree with them. That day there were 4 SEALs on the rooftop. Mark's buddy Ryan had been severely injured, and they could tell by looking at him it didn't look good. They didn't know if he'd survive the next few moments. 2 of the SEALs dropped to their knees to help Ryan. Mark could have made that very same choice, but he made the choice to stand up into the direct line of fire, hoping the enemy would see him and would fire on him, and they could sneak the medic up to the rooftop. The medic got up there successfully, and he took one look at Ryan. He said, "We got to get him out of here immediately, or there's no chance for survival." So not once, but a second time, Mark made the choice to stand up into the direct line of fire, hoping to provide the cover so they could get down off of that roof. They all successfully got down off of that roof. They sent Ryan off for medical attention, and they climbed in their Bradleys, and they headed back to the base that was named Camp Mark Lee in his memory. They got in that base and started to rip their gear off and get some water to refresh themselves. And I've tried to imagine what was going on in their minds as they went back to that base. Today, we're remembering a year ago what our SEALs did for us, how they captured Osama bin Laden. They seemed superhuman at times. But Mark's final gift to me was his teammates, and I know them well, and I can tell you they were just as worn out as you or I would be. They were exhausted physically, emotionally. And as they wondered what happened to Ryan and didn't think he was going to make it, and they sat there and tried to process that, the chief came in and he said, "We just found 30 of the insurgents that just attacked us. You guys up to going back out?" I've been over there. I know there's a Marine base on the other side. If they'd asked me, I'd said, "Go find some of the Marines who are fresh and who are ready for battle." But that wasn't my son, nor is that the character of the Navy SEALs. And he looked at his chief and he said, "Roger that, let's go get him." So they climbed in the Bradleys and they headed back into that godforsaken place. They cleared several houses and went in the last house Mark would be in. Cleared the bottom of the house and started to go up the steps, and they heard Mark yell, "On me!" And if you've served, you know what that meant. He was going to take the lead, and they were to follow. And as he went up those steps, he drew fire through a window. For the final time, this young man made the choice to turn into the line of fire to defend his buddies. He willingly gave his life defending them. But it wasn't just them. It was every one of you that are here today. It was everyone who lives in America. It was for the freedoms that we enjoy each and every day. He willingly did that for us. He took off his boots. He laid down his weapons and laid down his baton, and I picked them up. I didn't have any choice that news that was delivered to me, but I did have a choice how I responded. So in his memory, I carry on. And we owe it to our men and women who've served. We owe it to all of those who raised their hand here today. What's happening on the Hill is not what they fought for. It's not what my son gave his life for. I have 2 amazing letters. One's very amazing and touches me. very personally. It was from President Bush. It was given to me, it was written to me the night that he received a letter from me, handwritten letter full of much compassion. I wrote a letter to Obama when he first took office. 7 months later, I received a form letter that didn't mention Mark, didn't mention the things I dressed, and it was stamped on the bottom. That man didn't even have the guts to sign that letter. And so when I heard him a year ago when he got on and thanked our country and took all the credit for what our SEALs had done, he said, I personally carry the burden for each one of those Gold Star families, and I sign my name on every letter. And you can imagine the disgust when I heard that lie, knowing that man stood there, bold-faced lied. I had one of the other Gold Star families from the helicopter that went down on August 6th at my Heroes Hope home. They looked at that letter and they confirmed it was the same letter they received. We had a commander-in-chief who loved our troops, and now the man in the office is not a commander-in-chief. That may go with his title, but he has decreased their budget. He doesn't give them rules of engagement that let them be successful. He's increased their medical premiums, and then he has the audacity to stand before our troops and say, I got your back. Yeah, he's got a knife ready to go in their back. And ladies and gentlemen, on my watch, I won't stand by and watch this any longer. It is time for us to take our country back. And I want to know from you, are you with me? Will you be like my son and say, Roger that. Let's go get our country. Let's take it back. Thank you guys for being here. We've got to get out there and make a difference. We've got to vote. If we don't vote, that man's going to be back in office. And we're going to have to deal with this another 4 years and watch our country be destroyed. We need to tell people we know. And I would ask you, to everyone you run into that's not going to vote, would you please tell them my son's story? Would you please tell them that we owe it to our fallen heroes to vote? The SEALs have a saying that says failure is not an option, and it's not an option for us to have that man up there again. Thank you guys for being here today. God bless each one of you troops, and God bless America.